Captain's Log. Started November 2nd, 2015. Welcome, everybody, to a very special episode of Around the Pound.
Yay, it's back.
Indeed, it is back for tonight. I am your host, James Phoenix, for this episode. Joining me over there is Marcus Shadow from the Shadow's Maw.
Hi, Captain.
And over in the third corner from the Mole is Chriz the Mole.
May the Force be with you.
How did I know you were going to do that?
No, you're supposed to look at me and say, "You don't know who I am, do you?"
Nice.
Boom! I was still quoting something with Star Trek.
That's true.
Well, given what we're going to be talking about tonight, close enough.
Okay, then. Well, to lay the skivvy down, for those of you who may not have heard, CBS released a press release earlier today in which they announced that they are making a brand new Star Trek television series. This television series will be initially premiering on television with the pilot, and then the remaining new episodes will be available exclusively in America anyway, via the CBS All Access digital subscription service. The episodes will all be available through other means internationally. They haven't announced details on that yet. Alex Kurtzman, the co-writer and producer of the blockbuster Star Trek and Star Trek Into Darkness films, directed by J.J. Abrams, will be the executive producer of the show.
Hence why I said close enough.
Indeed. We don't know exactly the details on this new series. They haven't announced anything. The only thing we do know is that it will, and I quote, introduce new characters seeking imaginative new worlds and new civilizations while exploring the dramatic contemporary themes that have been a signature of the franchise since its inception in 1966, end quote. The other thing we know is that it's not, and I quote, the new television series is not related to the upcoming feature film Star Trek Beyond, which is scheduled to be distributed by Paramount Pictures in summer of next year. So we're just going to shoot the shit a little bit about having this new Star Trek series, what we like to see, how it will play out, so on and so forth.
Yep.
Well, my guess is it'll still be in continuity with it. It'll probably be, like, maybe some years later, like maybe they'll do an Enterprise B or something. Because I can't imagine they're going to stick with the original Enterprise if they're not going to use the same cast, because why? You've already established them as the crew of the Enterprise. You can't just have another one. That'd basically be a reboot again.
You're an idiot.
What?
It's not related to the movie. That doesn't mean it's going to be the crew of an... Number one, it doesn't mean it's going to be the crew of an Enterprise. It could be any other ship involved. Number two, I make the point to you that thus far, even not counting yours first, there have been 3 different crews of the Enterprise. So yeah, they can.
No, I'm talking about the original Enterprise, Dippy. There's only ever been one crew.
Yes, obviously, but there have been multiple Enterprises.
I know, I was talking about this particular Enterprise from the movie. I was saying it couldn't be the original Enterprise because they already have a cast and a crew for that, and if it's not going to be,
because they already said it wasn't related to the movie, so obviously it's not going to be that cast.
Yeah, which is why I was saying obviously it can't be the Enterprise, which was my point. It could be an Enterprise B or an Enterprise C, or it could be a totally different ship. My point was it's not going to be that Enterprise because of that reason. That was my point.
Yes, but that was obvious. You didn't need to make that point. The fact of the matter is, I think what I and I think a lot of other fans are hoping is that this is a new Star Trek show continuing in the main timeline, taking place sometime after Voyager.
I could see that. I could see that being cool. However, I also like the idea, like someone else said, that while they said it's not directly related to the new film, or it's not related to the new film, it could still be within that universe and just be kept separate, like across the universe, still exploring it, but without it having to be directly tied into it.
Yeah, like it could be another ship within that universe, which is where my money would be. Given the fact that Kurtzman is the one doing this, I don't think it's going to be in the main universe. I really don't. If it is, cool, but I get the feeling because Star Trek and Into Darkness are the hot movies right now, and Star Trek they're the latest ones, and then there's a third one coming out. And that's what people are seeing as Star Trek. They're going to keep it in that vein. And they called me a little old-fashioned, but I don't think you could do a Star Trek in the main universe in the vein of Star Trek 2009. I just don't think it would work.
I was going to make the case though of I could see it going either way though, because it could be in the main universe. Because one of the reasons for it is to celebrate the 50th anniversary.
True.
So you can't be talking about, oh, look at all of our history, and then only concentrate on the present.
True.
So
but then I would. No, go ahead.
So I could see that going either way. Like I could make a case for both. So it'd be interesting to see. Now with them saying it's not directly related, there is more of a chance of it not being in that universe. I hope it's not nothing new, and I hope it's not a brand new universe because that'd be annoying.
Yes. But yeah, I would say if they do end up doing a new series in the old universe, the main universe, I would say please don't do it in the feel and the vein of the 2009 Star Trek, because again, that doesn't fit the main universe really, in my opinion anyway. I would not want to see, like, you know, the next, say, if they keep going into the future, the next thing after Voyager, and the feels completely changed to the more action-packed, the more, you know, the way 2009 Trek is. I'm like, no, that doesn't feel right to me.
No, and they can't do that because the entire reason they rebooted it in the first place is because they knew it was going to feel different, and they wanted to be able to establish that and have the universe to play in. If they go back to the old universe, they're going to be playing by the old rules.
Or they'll be mixing it up a little bit, because to be fair, I would say there's as much of a difference between Abrams' Trek, as you like to constantly call it, and, say, Voyager, as there was between Next Gen and the original series. But everyone suddenly likes Next Gen, even though that changed all the rules and the tones and the feel of what Star Trek was.
Fair enough. I always argue that I think we're going to be sure they're probably not going to do that, because if they're going to make this TV show, particularly if they're putting it on their All Access network or whatever, it's obviously not going to be a widely distributed advertised show, so it's probably not going to have nearly the budget of the movie to make it look like that. So I would imagine it's probably going to be a lot of practical effects with a little bit of CGI and some
depending,
more toned down.
Depending, because they might want to try going big on this, and I could see them heavily advertising it, because it sounds like this is a plea to try and get more people to subscribe to their All Access thing.
This is true.
The way you do that is you throw everything at it.
Yeah. Which I will be completely honest out the gate right now. I will watch this pilot when it premieres on TV, and if this is good, I will subscribe to that just to watch Star Trek.
Good, I do support the official releases.
Yes.
Yep, and I will say, just for the record, I wasn't saying the look. If they want to take the look that they've established, the aesthetic of Star Trek that they established from 2009 and Into Darkness, and bring that into the main universe, I'm all for that. I do like the aesthetic, and it still is a Star Trek aesthetic. So yeah, you know, it's different, but hey, it still works. I was talking more about the feel of how, you know, things are shot, the direction of it, you know, of, like I said, it being a more action movie, you know, more action oriented.
That's what I was referring to.
Yeah, yeah, I was reacting to Jim saying about them not having the budget, blah blah blah. I'm like, yeah, that's to be expected, but you know, I wouldn't be surprised if it still looked like it. But as long as it feels like classic Trek, if they're going the route of main universe, it just needs to feel like classic Trek. It can look like the new Trek. That's perfect. You could take the new Trek and change how it feels and, you know, how things are done in there, and it could very well be classic Trek. I could totally see that being like, especially if they're going like, say, like 25th century with it, or, you know, like we said, past Voyager. I could totally see them taking the aesthetic from the 2009 and applying parts of that to it, because let's be honest, the 2009 one, very clean, smooth lines, you know, as opposed to what they've done in Trek Past, where it's, you know, it's progressively gotten more smoother, but it's always been more of that angular design, more of that boxy design a little bit. It's been a little rougher design, whereas you look at 2009, and it was one of the things that initially threw me off of 2009, which we'll get into when we review the movie, of the fact that you walk into it and it's like clean and smooth, and it's like, this is a little bit too smooth, but man, it works.
That's how the original series was.
I always felt the original series was more, for
The
lack of a
original,
better term, gritty. It was more because it was more supposed to be like, since Gene Roddenberry, drew heavily on his naval experience, it was basically supposed to be a submarine in space. So,
yeah,
and it felt that way because I felt like they were in a grungy, like, thrown together ship, because
it
at
was.
that point they didn't really know what they were doing. Starfleet
Yeah,
didn't.
I was saying, yeah, it was supposed to obviously feel like a submarine and stuff. However, if you watch the original series and stuff like that, original series ship and stuff like, I got the model of it. That's extremely smooth. Inside, all of the stuff is really clean and nice looking because that's how all the TV shows look then. It's that
Fair enough.
70s cheesy bright color. So they took that and they made it modern. And people are like, no, this
True.
doesn't feel like Star Trek because it doesn't feel like the stuff that changed what Star Trek was. So, well, okay.
Fair enough. Yeah, I look forward to seeing where they go with this.
Indeed, it should be interesting to see how this plays out and how this affects Star Trek as a whole. I've been waiting for a new TV series for a while, so I'm excited to see this because this would be the first time I'm actually able to watch a new Trek series at its inception and actually watch it as it's airing. Because I really didn't get into Next Gen until it was late, and then DS9 after the fact. And by that time I watched got into that whole thing. Voyager was practically over, and Enterprise didn't appeal to me that much at the time. So this will be an interesting opportunity for me.
I'm actually hoping for them to try and do something completely different with the series to what they've done in the past. That's what I'm hoping for the most, if that makes sense.
Fair enough.
Indeed.
Because what I'm hoping for is, instead of trying to make it like, oh, look, we're all on a ship and we're all Enterprise and stuff, that's been done. And if you go to try and do that again, there's going to be comparisons between that and the films, and there's going to be comparisons between that and all the previous series that people put nostalgia goggles on for.
Mm-hmm.
You need to make this very different. And if it's the 50th anniversary, the best way of doing this would be, for lack of a better term, Star Wars Clone Wars style. I don't mean CGI cartoon. What I mean by that is the way Clone Wars was episode 1 of it could suddenly be about a load of the troops on this particular planet over here. But episode 2 could be about the Jedi, like years later over on this planet. And this one could be about this stuff over here. So each one could be different. And like episode 1, we could see old Kirk and what he's up to. Episode 2, we could go see Worf and what he's been up to on his own ship. And over here, we could go see Data, and assuming do they want to go with Data being alive or something like that. And over here, we could go see Voyager and just do it all like that. So each episode could be about characters and places that we know from Star Trek, but not actually a coherent, overarching story. Make each one stand alone. So each one's like a special tribute to a certain thing within Star Trek. Like within Star Trek, like, oh look, here's an episode all about Enterprise, because not everyone likes all the Star Trek series. So let's say you don't like Voyager, or you don't like Enterprise, or you don't like Next Gen. You don't have to watch those episodes, and you can watch the ones you do like and still feel rewarded from the franchise you loved for 50 years.
That could be interesting. I don't think they would do that, but that's actually a really great idea.
Yeah, that's a cool idea. I'm just not sure that they would do that. And that would seem like it would be a lot of they'd spend a lot of money to get all these guest stars back for various episodes and whatnot. So I don't think they'd go that way. Although it would be cool.
Fair enough. I was thinking of a way they could save money.
Yeah.
And one of the ways I was thinking they could save money is while they would be getting the actors back, they could save a load of money on the fact they already own all the sets and stuff. They just have to put them back up.
That's true. Assuming the sets still exist, that would be cool.
Yeah. Well, I will say the big reason I don't think that they would go with that is because this is also supposed to be the anchor for that new CBS All Access. And if this is going to anchor the new service, they're not going to put something out that's only going to draw people like us. They're going to put something out that's going to draw everybody. And the almost surefire thing that would draw everybody is a full like cohesive series as opposed to a series that's just a look back at Star Trek and seeing what the characters are up to now. What they would want and what they would need as a cornerstone and an anchor for this new all access thing is an actual full-fledged TV series, a new Star Trek series, and that's probably the direction they're going to go.
I could maybe see that. The way I see it, it's to celebrate the 50th anniversary, and I see it being, ironically, mostly the Star Trek fans that will want to gravitate towards this, because the casual fans will be like, okay, well, why am I subscribing to watch this Star Trek thing over here when I could just subscribe to Netflix and get House of Cards, Orange is the New Black, and all that stuff? There's nothing here for me. Whereas the Star Trek fans are more likely, like Jim said, if it's something good and it's something he wants and it's something of Star Trek, he will put his money to it because he's a proper fan. He will put his money to it and support the official releases, and therefore they'll have his subscription. And while he's there, they've got him and they've got his subscriptions, and that could be, okay, now he could be like, oh, wait a minute, what's this content over here? What's this? And he might stick around. They're more likely to get the Star Trek fans in with this than they are the casual fans in to watch this, because casual fans aren't going to want to subscribe to a whole new access and a whole new service just to watch Star Trek.
True.
Indeed.
Sorry about that. I didn't want you to hear those peeps. But yeah, I don't know. I could see it going either way, and I could see CBS justifying both ways. It'll be interesting to see which direction they do go and what their overall strategy is with this new series.
Yep. I mean,
but as Jeff said, just make it good.
Yep. I mean, anything could work. I was just saying that's what I would like to see, because I think that's a great way of celebrating it, and also you don't have to worry about, where's it going to fit in the timeline, and how are we going to make this whole arc carry on without affecting either this or the movies or something, because it can be like, okay, we just need to make this one episode fit somewhere, or this episode fit somewhere, and I also think that could be really fun. And if you're paying if you're paying actors for a cameo for a one-off episode, you might actually get a load of them that you don't expect doing it more easily. I mean, I put it to you, the BBC production extras got Patrick Stewart.
Mm-hmm. Well, also, if you're getting them only back for like 1 or 2 episodes, it's a higher probability that they would get him back, because from a financial standpoint, it would be far less cheaper to do that than to get him back for an entire series. So if like let's say Patrick Stewart, let's say he's exorbitantly priced, he's expensive, true, but if you only have to pay him for 1 episode, that's not a whole lot compared to we want him for the entire series. CBS would more likely be willing to shell out to get Patrick Stewart for 1 episode or a 2-part arc than an entire series.
Yep, and not each one probably wouldn't even need. My idea at least, not every episode would need a cameo. Like, not everyone needs to be Kirk or something like that. Like, you could just do some with some civilizations that have been affected and do some original stories as well mixed in, and just expand your universe and expand what's there and flesh out different parts. And I think that could be really cool.
Yeah, a series where it's more like a look at the universe that Star Trek is in, as opposed to following a specific character or crew around.
Yeah, and if it's really successful and they get a high enough audience and they got more money to do something awesome, then they could do a proper Star Trek series and make it fit and stuff. But this would be I feel like this would be the least risky. Plus, if it's on-demand content where you can watch as you want and you can go through the episodes as you want, that's also a valid way of doing it, because, like I said, you can skip the episodes you don't want to watch. You don't have to have it like, oh, it's on this week, what's it about? Oh, it's about this.
True. Very true. Like I said, I'm all for the idea. Well, we'll see what they do. I'm looking forward to it. I really want to come up with.
I know Jim said he wanted one in this universe, but what type of story what type of one were you guys hoping for? Like, what type of series and what about?
I said, I don't know. Personally, I was hoping they'd go towards some of the maybe pull some things from, make their own version of them, pull some things from the established EU, whether that be STO, the comics, the novels, whatever, and just pull some storylines that'll come out of there and kind of, some things that the Star Trek fans generally accept as happening going forward. Like, if they could convince Frakes to step back in front of the camera, maybe, have it be the Voyager, not the Voyager, the Titan. Or, if they wanted to pull another known ship from something, they could do like, if they could get the actress who plays Esri Dax to come back as Captain Dax, they could do the Aventine, the first ship with slipstream drive that can easily traverse the galaxy in quick times. That could be an interesting adventure in and of itself.
That could be cool.
Yeah, I think Frakes would be far too old and out of shape to play Captain Riker. Personally, as much as I'd love to see a Will Riker series, I think it'd be awesome. Just because, like I said, again, he's like my favorite character of all time.
I would make the point to you that in at least 4 out of 6 films, William Shatner was incredibly out of shape.
He's in better shape than Frakes.
Yeah.
He's in better shape than William Shatner now is in better shape than Frakes, and William Shatner now is fucking injured. So yeah.
To be fair, it also depends on when it's set in the timeline and stuff. Like Spock recently had to go through time because emergency situation. You could make the case maybe the Federation's desperate. They bring him out of retirement, put him back on his ship, and he'd be more like the grizzled old captains.
See, that would work. That'd be awesome.
Because to be fair, in the military, you do get old guys who are captains.
Yeah, or if they really wanted to go, if Frakes didn't want to do because Frakes is more of a behind the camera at this point. He doesn't really do in front of the camera work anymore. They could have Frakes come in as like one of the regular directors, and they could introduce like maybe Admiral Riker as the guy who assigns whatever this new crew is to the ship, and like occasionally pops up to like give them information from Starfleet Command or whatever to tie him in there and use that as an anchor for a new vessel, or again even the Aventine if they wanted to use Dax and the Aventine to have a semi-familiar actress, but one that they didn't really develop that they could explore more.
I don't know. The idea of doing something in the Star Trek universe and directing or writing it and stuff yourself and making yourself a captain or an admiral that sends people away on missions sounds really stupid.
On a related note, check out the radio play this Saturday. Right here on XRP, all right.
The other thing they could do, I could see this working out really well. Like you said, Admiral Riker, right? What if you have Admiral Riker and Captain Riker?
Huh?
He has a wife.
Yes, who's completely fucking useless in any and all Starship capacities.
And won't she be as old as him?
Well, Betazoids don't age quite as much. I think they have a little bit of that slower aging thing. But
And also, she was one rank behind him, so it would make sense that if he's an admiral, she could still be a captain. I could still see her as a captain. And Marina Sirtis still looks fucking amazing, so I could totally see her in like the lead role, like on TV. People would still buy her.
Yes, but I don't think anybody would actually buy her as a captain. People barely bought her as a fucking counselor.
That's why you establish her as a captain.
I don't buy it. I don't believe it. First officer, maybe. Captain, no.
That's also why you have Admiral. That's why you have Admiral Riker.
Yeah, still.
I didn't buy her as a likable character.
Yeah, that either. I particularly given how much they're married, I doubt that Riker would let his wife go off on a bunch of dangerous missions as a captain without it. He would never fucking do that.
No, one valid question with this for people listening would be, I mentioned this to Jim before we went on the air, but they were shipping around a while back, no pun intended, the idea of Enterprise Series 5, and a lot of fans actually wanted that, and they were talking. They got the actors to talk about actually doing an Enterprise Series 5. They wanted to put it onto like Netflix and stuff, so you could make the case maybe they found it and it's their own distribution network so CBS Digital will be the home of Enterprise Series 5. That could also be a valid one.
That is also certainly possible. Yeah, I could easily see that. Which, if the case, I would go through the first 4 seasons of Enterprise to catch up on it and then go watch it. I would also say they could also do. I know Michael Dorn has had scripts and has been shopping around a Captain Worf series. He's been trying to get off the ground. So if they asked Michael Dorn, he would easily jump in there as Worf as the captain of a ship.
I don't know. I thought Worf's more the type of guy that shows up in a truck and constantly has to refer to a fat kid as captain.
That
was awesome.
I had to put on makeup and come down here at 3 a.m.
Yep.
Anyway,
they could also do it animated.
They could do it series.
I'm not saying to make it like the animated series for anyone listening, but they could when I mentioned Clone Wars and stuff. That CGI animation is pretty big now, but it's also kind of cheap to produce to a certain degree. And before people say, well, I don't know if I'd be really popular or anything, as much as I don't like the series, Star Wars Rebels is massively popular.
What's wrong with Star Wars Rebels?
I don't like it. It's not. I don't like it. It's not. For me personally, it's not written as well as Clone Wars was.
Fair enough.
But and they also make some massive mistakes with that. I think they're hitting that.
Another thing they could do and this would be an interesting thing. I don't know how many people actually like the character, but to do the thing that Mole suggested, which I love that idea of seeing different characters at different points in the Star Trek timeline and seeing what they're up to and whatnot, or maybe even introducing some new characters. To do that, but make it a cohesive story, like an actual like standard TV series. What they could do is they bring back one specific actor from Star Trek lore that probably wouldn't be too expensive to get for an entire series. Bring back Wesley Crusher. Because what's that?
You go.
Because you could argue at the age that Wesley would be at now, and obviously, Will would have to portray him at the age that he's at now, so Wesley would be like, 40 or something? One could argue he's a full-fledged traveler at this point. So you could do it where you're following Wesley around, and Wesley is going through different, points in time and whatnot because traveler. And that's how you meet up with the other characters, and not only do you get to see what they're up to, but then you also get to see them saying, "Wow, Wesley, what's up?" Kind of, the ones I know him anyway.
That could be slightly cool, but at least to me personally, wasn't he as hated with Star Trek fans as Jar Jar is with Star Wars fans?
He was, but it's one of those situations similar to Justin the Blue Ranger, where the characters at the time were hated, but then the actors grew up and became awesome, so people like them now.
See, I still hear Star Trek fans, at least though a load of them anyway, talking about how much they still don't like the character.
Which is fair enough. I think this would be a redemption of the character, because Will Wheaton could kind of, now that he's older and a better actor, he could actually go through and help and sort of redeem the character, because I think people would be willing to accept that. Because it's almost one being it's a running meme where it's a joke of you have to make fun of Wesley being terrible, but most people don't actually, find Will Wheaton to be that bad, and I think they'd be willing to give the character another shot.
A lot of people like the actor, but like I said, a lot of fans I know don't like him, and we also got to remember, you're trying to convince them to subscribe and pay money to a whole new service to watch this.
Which still could work because Will Wheaton is one of the white hot people right now in terms of popularity. Not saying he's the best actor or the most prolific actor, but he's pretty popular on TV, white hot on the fucking internet and stuff. He's white hot with the fans, and I could easily see them rewriting the character of Wesley. Now that the character's older, probably wiser, they could rewrite him, and Will Wheaton could actually act what the kind of nuances they might write for him at this age. And I could actually see, first of all, people saying, "Well, it's Will Wheaton now. Okay, that's kind of cool," and then seeing it, and actually, if they write it right and it's directed properly, and Will does it right, which I think Will could do because he's actually pretty decent now, I really think they could be people who hated Wesley would be like, okay, this version of Wesley, fucking awesome.
I'd have to say, is he?
What, a decent actor?
Yeah.
Well, I haven't seen much of his live work, but I know like
I've seen him
his
in
voice.
live action when he was on Big Bang Theory for multiple episodes, and he was fucking terrible. He was worse than the actual actors on Big Bang Theory, and they're already terrible.
Fair enough.
Which means he became the worst actor in a terrible show.
Fair enough.
If you were going to do the bring an actor back for it type situation, wouldn't it make more sense of what you guys were discussing earlier?
What's that?
How did Enterprise end?
On the holodeck with
I don't know. I haven't seen it.
Yeah, it ended on.
Oh, the holodeck thing. Yeah.
Yeah, like Marcus said, it ended on the holodeck and stuff. Couldn't you easily do that and just have it like each episode is introduced by, say, like Admiral Riker teaching a class, and he just shows them something?
That could be interesting.
That could work too.
And then it just cuts to the holodeck.
Yeah.
So his class can learn new information about certain eras or certain people and what they're up to.
That could be interesting.
If you're doing that, I could also understand replacing some people.
Okay.
Well, like, let's say he wants to tell a story about Worf. But let's say he wants to do about young Worf. You could be, or how Worf first became into the next gen crew. You could easily see like a younger version of them playing them for one episode.
Yeah,
absolutely. And then you could also get cameos coming in to like visit Riker, or Riker calls him in as like a guest, like speaker for the class or whatever. So they kind of show up at the beginning and the end of the episode or whatever.
Yeah, and
you could do that. You could do that, or you can also cut to them like old, like or not like cut to Kirk or Picard or something. I think that could be cool. So you could either see their further story, or you could see them as guests.
Yeah, and some of the some of the characters they do have to replace, because I know Brent Spiner has said he won't play Data again because Data shouldn't age. So if there was other past Data, they get another guy to play young Data, or they could just have like him do voiceovers as Data or something.
No, he won't be playing Data anymore because Data's dead. He'd be before.
Yeah, if he's showing things, well, I guess if it's showing things earlier than that time frame, but after Nemesis, yeah. Fair enough.
But like for instance, with that Worf episode, I could totally see Worf just kind of beaming in and being like, you know, and Riker like, I thought you might want to meet the guy I'm talking about. Worf's just like, hi. But yes, I am Ambassador Worf to the Klingon Empire.
Hi, Mr. Worf. I'm kidding because he won't be teaching kids. But that would just be amazing with, hi, Mr. Worf, and Worf pulls out a Mr. Hat hand puppet and starts to teach his class.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, hell, you could even do that as a CBS show and it would totally fucking work.
What's that?
Not Worf teaching. Have any of you, and I already pretty much think the answer's going to be no, but did any of you watch the mini-series / film of Halo Forward Unto Dawn?
No.
No.
Or I think it was Halo Forward Unto Dawn. It was one of the Halo ones. Basically, it was about students, young students in the Halo world. They didn't need to show the monsters. They didn't need to show, like, Master Chief, although they did, but it was very rare. Instead, they focused on the students and their journey. And I know at a certain point, Kirk, was like William Shatner, did want a story about him and Spock at the Academy, and now we got this one, so that wouldn't work. Couldn't you make like a whole group of new kids and like young actors in the actual Starfleet Academy? And then you could have older people maybe as some cameos as teachers and stuff, but show a whole group of new students, and it can all build to them having to go and save the day or something when their class gets sent away, so it's all new and hip.
Star Trek, the new class.
That could actually be kind of awesome. Well, they would just call it Starfleet Academy, and that's all you'd really have to call it.
Mm.
And I think that actually is a really good idea.
That could be interesting.
And you can also save budgets, because instead of having to do big space adventures, some of them can also be the class learning stuff and a little bit, and also it can just be the same sets every week and no one will complain.
Right, because it's like all one giant-ass building. That makes sense. Totally. That actually would be a phenomenal idea, especially for a web only show like this, because that would also cut down on actors and actress costs. Because let's face it, number one, younger actors don't demand as much money as the older, more veteran actors. Number one. Number two, if they're going to do a Starfleet Academy type thing, they're probably gonna kind of go the Power Rangers route and probably find lesser known actors and use this as breakout roles for them, which again they won't be demanding a lot of money.
And you could also go with the other thing as well. I know some people will hate this, but modernize it.
Okay.
Instead of it being Captain's Log, Stargate, blah, 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 you could easily have some of the students at the Academy talk directly into the camera for the intro of the episode you have a character's going to focus on, and have it be like their vlog.
Yeah.
That way it seems all, oh my god, they're keeping blogs like we do, or like video blog. Okay, I totally get this. It's cool, it's hip. It's still within the confines of Star Trek, and you can still throw in enough stuff there for fans of all ages, while telling a new story to move it forward.
True. Of course, the question would be if they did Starfleet Academy, the question would be which continuity and when.
I assume you'd probably want it in the main continuity, like Prime Universe, and essentially speaking, you'd want it after Nemesis.
That could work.
After Nemesis, I would even make the case maybe even after Spock went back in time.
Mm-hmm.
Because if it's at that point and it's after Spock went back in time, let's say this is a widely successful series. In a couple of years' time, you could do a standalone. You could do a film of this, like made just for their subscription service, like a TV movie or something, an event, or even a cinema film if it's popular enough. If they ship it in syndication to other networks, make a film of it, and then you could even do crossovers with the Kirk crew and this crew, like a one-off crossover where they both end up going through time or something. I wouldn't recommend doing that, but I could see like, okay, this is the Academy, they're all training. Now they've got their first starship and something. Then boom, a film just about them on their starship, on their first mission. And it's like, it's not like, oh, it's like Kirk's first mission or Picard's first mission, because we've grown with these characters. We know why they'd be making some of the mistakes they do, or why they know some of the lessons they do.
Mm-hmm.
And I just thought that could be cool.
That could. That's a really good idea.
Yeah, that could be very cool.
Now I kind of want to see a Starfleet Academy series. That sounds amazing. I think that's the best idea we've come up with all night.
That's a good one. I like it.
Well, you came up with the core of it.
I came up with all of it, but yeah. I also like the idea. I prefer my other idea of the Clone Wars style thing, but I like the idea of Starfleet Academy.
Yeah, I think a Starfleet Academy would be more palatable for a wider audience, and it would still allow you to do, like you said, the kind of Clone Wars style too, because you could do an episode here and there where it's these characters in class learning about something. Boom, holodeck comes up, and you get an episode with some of the older actors and stuff, and you'd have the newer actors like kind of standing there in the holodeck, out of the way, watching the events unfold and learning about it, kind of thing.
Yep.
I think that'd be kind of cool, and that way it'd be the best of both worlds, and it wouldn't be, because my biggest fear with your idea, well, I love it, is that it would be too jarring to be widely palatable. But if you do it like in this way, or like in the way we were discussing before, of like maybe doing it as like an Admiral Riker teaching at the Academy type of series, I think it makes it a little bit more palatable, and therefore isn't as jarring to the wider audience when you do the Clone Wars. I think where like every episode is showing different things, or in the case of the Academy one, it would be like an episode here and there, but you'd be primarily following the students. I think that softens it a lot, and it makes it more mainstream, if that makes sense.
Yeah, it does. That's why when I came up with my idea, I mentioned making how mainstream it would be with the vlog idea and stuff. But if you wanted to do it that way, but I just personally, I would rather watch the other one.
That's fair enough.
Well, obviously the other one makes more sense business wise, but the one I wanted to see the first one just personal reasons. Like I'd like to see like Worf and what he was up to, but then I'd also like to cut to some of the original series, and I just like to just cut all around to get the stuff, but not feel like I had to watch it every single week.
Right.
Like I could just watch it in my own time, pick it up, and just go, okay, now I'm going to watch the episode that's set over there. I'm going to watch the episode set over there.
Nice.
Well, I can understand why the other ones would work better, if that makes sense.
Right. Time will tell.
Indeed it shall.
And we will definitely be following this as it develops. It's not coming out until January 2017, so we have a full year of new information to go through, and we will definitely be discussing this as new information is dropped.
Well, yeah. I don't think we'll be doing it around the pound every time news drops.
No.
No, well, if something big happens, we will discuss it.
Yeah,
like if we got a plot description.
Yeah, I just figured with this one, we might as well do it now when, fuck it, we were all on for Raw. And we had the other thing, but I didn't want people to assume we were going to be doing this every time there's news on that day. We're definitely doing around the pound that night.
Yeah, no, not at all.
Indeed. By the way, just as a final note here, in celebration of this announcement, if anybody out there is interested and plays STO, in celebration of this, the STO people are offering a free promotion based on the last television series, and if you log in from today through Monday, you can get yourself a free Enterprise bundle, including the NX Enterprise ship, the standard and mirror variant uniforms, and the T'Pol jumpsuit.
Enterprise wasn't the last series, that was the first.
Funny. Also, they're also running a bonus XP week from today through also the same time on Monday, or actually through Monday the 9th, rather. The other thing is through the Wednesday the 4th, sorry. Today through Wednesday, you can get yourself an Enterprise pack.
Nice. I might have to go get that. The nice thing is that's an account unlock, so I only have to do it once. Ha!
So we're all so everybody is celebrating enjoying this the new show coming out, and hopefully we'll get some more details on it soon.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Thank you two for joining me for this little discussion.
You're most welcome.
A pleasure.
And thank you for suggesting it, Mole.
A pleasure.
I'm James Phoenix, and we'll see you next time. See ya.